Would I be the asshole if I go to a concert while my husband is in the hospital? My husband's been in the ICU for over 50 days from complications of a surgery. I have been by his side literally every single day, 8 AM to 6 PM since he's been here, and I took a leave from my job to do so. We are financially okay. This has been a very tumultuous hospital stay with many complications. He is finally at a place where he is stable, but due to his surgical site, he's still in the ICU. There's a band coming to town in a month that's been my favorite since middle school, and they don't tour very often. It's kind of a big deal that they're coming through. My plan would be to hang out with him during the day and then go to the concert at night. I would still go to see him the next day. Of course, if he isn't doing well, I would give my tickets to someone and stay with my husband. I guess I feel guilty enjoying myself when he is stuck in the hospital. Would I be the asshole if I go? Edit. I wanted to clarify some things again because some people keep asking and commenting the same things. 1. I am happily married and do not plan on effing cheating on my husband at this show, Jesus Christ. 2. I will only go if my husband is stable. If he is not, my tickets will go to a friend. 3. The concert is after visiting hours end. 4. We don't like the same music, so he will not be jealous or have FOMO. 5. I bought the tickets. Thanks to everyone who replied. I will be masking up and staying in the back not to be super involved with the crowd. And 6. It's Marky Ramone, not Taylor Swift. OP, when told to be safe, wear a mask so she doesn't bring COVID back to the unit. I plan on masking and standing in the back where it isn't so crowded, and honestly, if I start to feel worried about it, I might not even go. It really depends on how my husband is doing. He may even be at an LTAC by then. Fingers crossed. Has she spoken to her husband about the concerts? OP says, I just did. He can't talk yet, as he has a tracheostomy, but I told him the band was coming and asked if he'd mind. And he shook his head no and gave me a thumbs up. When told to go but repay her husband when he's healthy, OP says, I actually have a vacation fund I've been throwing money into, so when he's better, he gets to choose where we go. I should have mentioned we don't like the same music, so he wouldn't want to go to this show anyway. Amers says, I'm literally sitting in a hospital right now. Go to the concerts, not the asshole. What's happening with your husband is unfortunate, but a few hours to decompress yourself after spending something like 1,000 hours in the hospital when you're not even the sick one, you need your time too, my dear. I say it again, go to the concerts. PM What Makes You Happy says, reading the title, I was taken aback. However, once I read 50 Days, and that you're going with your sister, I was taken back in a different way. As a former caregiver, I beg you to go easy on yourself. Go and enjoy yourself. You not only need it, but you deserve it. You have a good plan to still be there. I assure you that he understands. Just go easy on yourself, please. And Tishes says, not the asshole. You will have been spending almost all of your time, for about 80 days by then, sitting in the hospital with him. That is a very emotionally draining experience. I've only had to do the ICU campout for a few days with my partner, and even that beat me down. You need to let him know what is going on, and that you need to have just one evening of doing something that reminds you that there is a world outside of the hospital room walls. Be ready to tell him all about it. He's going to be very cabin crazy after that much time in the hospital. Couldn't agree more, and if I was in his shoes, I'd want you to go as well because, 80 days in the hospital is a bit insano. You are absolutely doing the right thing by your husband in this instance. He's given you the thumbs up. Obviously, he couldn't say it, but you have all the permission you need. I understand why you would feel guilty about this one because on the surface, it doesn't present itself too well, does it? But really, I think you should stop beating yourself up so much and let yourself have this one night to go experience Marky in all his glory. With that, I say not the arsehole. OP comes back with an update and says, quick update on my husband. He's doing well. He was sent to an LTAC, long-term acute care facility, about a month and a half ago and was weaned off the ventilator within a week. He still has his track, but is only on oxygen. He's had a few bumps in the road, but overall, he's getting stronger every day. I haven't told him about this post yet, but I do plan to show him all the well wishes that he received. My sister and I made it to the concerts. We stayed all the way in the back as to not be in the crowd and really enjoyed the show. Marky was awesome as usual, and it was surreal seeing him drum to songs that he helped create back in the day. The Ramones are my all-time favorite band of all time ever, so it was just really cool to see him live. All in all, thank you everyone for pushing me to take some time for myself. My husband was very excited for me to go to the show, and I showed him videos and pictures the next day. He's just the sweetest man, and I really am lucky to have him in my life. Contribution for a friend says, "Good news about your husband. Sending all the good vibes and positive energy at his recovery. Glad you and your sister made it without any turmoil. Seems that improved your mental health and gave you more energy to keep up. Keep updating. Hopefully it will be about your husband going home." OP says, "He's got some hard months ahead of him filled with lots of hard work, but I'm really hopeful that he's going to recover. I got a call from the hospital today saying that they helped him into a chair and he stood with a walker, with 2 PT nurses helping, and I cried. He hasn't put weight on his feet in over 3 months, and I'm just so proud of him for always trying and working hard." Grand de Bazaar says, "Caretaker fatigue is very real. It's good she took a little time out for herself to rejuvenate. They seem like a lovely couple." Pippin says, "I used to be an ICU RN. It is so emotionally taxing to have a loved one in this situation. OP needs to take care of themselves. I used to tell family members they should take care of themselves and treat themselves while their loved one is in the ICU. Your loved one is going to need you more when they transfer to the floor, LTAC, or home. Things are going to get more intense when he doesn't have an ICU RN anymore. Take your peace where you can." And that goes for all of you. Please take your peace where you can. It's amazing to see so many stories of honest and transparent communication winning the day. Obviously, not all situations are going to be solved that way, but it makes a lot of them a hell of a lot easier to navigate when you're just honest with your partner. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP, and I'm glad that it all worked out so well. He is hoping that his journey to full recovery is swift and with as little bumps in the road as possible. What do you guys think of this one? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. With that said, let's get to the next story. So this one's by user Raising Jack. It was posted in the Reddit Bureau of Investigation subreddit, titled, "My elderly mum is on hospice, and her new friend gives me a bad vibe. So I cannot for the life of me figure out why I feel like this, but all of my spidey senses are tingling on this woman. Here is a bit of background. My 40 female, elderly mum, 70 female, has been ill for quite some time and is on hospice. She was living in an independent living place where it was all elderly people in apartment-type units. She's been living there for about 6 or 7 months and has made a few casual old people friends, but mostly kept to herself, or so I thought. A couple of weeks go by and my boys and I were visiting my mum, as we live right down the street and visit often, when a woman walks up to us with my mum. I extended my hand to introduce myself to this woman when she dismissed the handshake and instead went in for a hug and said, 'Oh, I only do hugs for family, and we're pretty much family.' Okay, a little weird coming from someone who I've never met before and also never even heard a single mention of her, but I pretty much brush it off, thinking to myself that she's probably just really lonely or something. I asked my mum about this new friend, and she just says that they met there at the old people place, and she's been a really good friend to her. Great. I love when my mum has friends. It's important to have friends. But this woman just keeps giving me weird vibes, and I can't pinpoint why. A few things that seem odd to me. 1. My mum's moving to a more traditional apartment complex this weekend, and this new friend liked the new apartment complex so much that she decided to move to the same place as well. Her apartment isn't ready yet, but she'll be moving to the same complex as my mum next month. 2. She apparently bought my mum's dog a "I have the world's best auntie" sweatshirt for Christmas. They had known each other for maybe 2 months at that point. 3. She called the other day to, I don't really know why, I guess to give me her phone number and more formally introduce herself to me. She talked about doing a lot of caretaking stuff for my mum. Oh, I can manage her medications for her if you want. Red flag, red flag. So I replied that while I appreciate the offer, there's a lot of controlled medications, and hospice prefers to keep minimal people involved in the medicine stuff, and that taking on caretaking responsibilities for a friend can get exhausting, so it might be best for them to just focus on being friends rather than her wearing herself out trying to take care of her. She immediately went to my mum and made it sound like I was shit-talking my own mum, saying how she's just an exhausting person, blah blah. When I confronted the new friend about going to my mum and relaying our private conversation in a totally twisted way, the friend lied and said that my mum had grabbed her phone and then read all the text messages. It was over the phone and not at all via text messages. When I pointed out that there were no texts, she just kind of stumbled, and I dropped it because I knew that it wouldn't go anywhere. And 4, every time I talk to my mum on the phone, I can hear this woman telling her what to say or adding comments in, and none of it is outwardly worrisome things, but I feel like I can't have any conversation with just my mum. I'm a very trusting person who generally tries to see the best in people, and this woman has not given me any concrete reasons to doubt her intentions, and has in fact been very friendly and polite to me in all of our interactions. Nonetheless, I can't shake this feeling that there is something wrong here. I sat my mum down yesterday and had a conversation with her about my feelings towards this new friend, and she didn't get defensive at all. But she disagreed with me and said that the new friend is just being kind in offering to help with stuff because she knows that my mum is not the most organized of people and could use the help. I begged my mum to please just be cautious and to take the friendship slow and to keep it simply as a friendship and let me, her actual family, handle caretaking stuff. Despite no changes in medications, my mum's been more confused lately and comes across to me like she's overtaken medication, but I only give her 1 dose at a time and the rest is locked up at all times, so it isn't me. But just to be safe, since she's more confused lately, I took my mum's credit and debit cards so that no one can take advantage of her financially. Reddit, please help me figure out what this woman would have to gain in coming between my mum and I if it isn't medication or money. I don't know how to do a background search, or if it's legal for any random person to do. But I did look this new friend up on a couple of websites, and all I learned from that is that she has a lot of also known as names, but I can't find anything else. I'll pay for a background search if anyone has a recommendation for good ones. We're in California. Does any of this raise red flags to anyone else, or am I just being too overprotective of my mum on this? Oh, I almost forgot. I called one of my mum's oldest and closest friends the other day and asked her if she met this new friend, and if so, what was her impression. She said, "Honestly, I don't know why I feel like this, but I just get a bad feeling about her. I just feel like she's up to no good." Hearing this made me feel better, in that I'm not the only one to pick up on something, but I don't know what, if anything, to do about it all. As always, OP, trust your guts, and trust your friend's gut there as well. If she thinks she's up to no good, she's definitely not. She has to be taking the controlled medications, and she has to be taking money somehow, some way. People don't just move apartment complexes all willy-nilly like that to the exact location of another elderly person. That's very weird, that's a gigantic red flag. I'd be watching her if I was you, in any way possible. Starkville says, "Oh hell nah, this lady's up to something, probably money. Please make sure your mother hasn't signed anything giving this woman power of attorney. I'd probably hire a former law enforcement private investigator and check her out. Sometimes they can relay a warning too. I'm tempted to tell you to make a huge stink and to make a lot of noise at her to leave your mother alone. If she knows you're onto her and you're going to be combative, she might back off and find someone else to glom onto." Gecko Tatgirl says, "Yes, a private investigator with a law enforcement background is a great idea. Even though OP's mum doesn't appear to have control over her own money, this woman could try to steal her apartment or other property that she may own. I find it extremely suspicious that this woman has decided, on a whim, to move into the same complex as mum. Like, who does that? Not to mention, it's extremely fishy that her apartment isn't ready. Is there really an apartment? Or is she next going to need to move in with mum temporarily because her apartment isn't ready, but she had to move out of her old one? I see that coming." OP says, "Exactly what I thought. I told my mum that no way in hell is this woman moving in temporarily or otherwise. She agreed, but I'm gonna have the apartment complex change the keys just to be safe. Because, oh get this, my mum's key for the new apartment just mysteriously vanished. The friend blames it on my mum being so goofy and losing things all the time, which is true, she does, but my mum can't get that key off the ring herself. Friend had no reply to that one. OP then comes back with an update and says, "Thank you so much for all of the responses and heartfelt advice. I'm so sorry to have been MIA for so long after I originally posted, but it's just been a lot. I need to take a beat to take it all in and deal with the punches from real life that kept coming my way." Immediately after I posted last, I went to talk with my mum. I explained my concerns, and she agreed to 2 cameras that I put up in her apartment. On moving day, I was out of the apartment for a few minutes taking my kids back to my house when I logged onto the camera app to test out the settings. I overheard my mum and a friend talking about me. It was not very nice, and very much seemed like the friend was just teeing things up to come between my mum and I, and my mum was playing right into it. The friend, I'll just call her friend to make it easier, was gone when I got back to the apartment, but I got into it with my mum. I was crying, telling her how hurtful it is to hear my own mother participating in a negative conversation about me after everything that I do and have done for her. She cried, I cried, it was awful. But at the end, I had at least convinced her that Fran was up to no good. My mum agreed to create some distance between her and Fran, and she immediately told Fran that her behavior towards me was not going to fly any longer, and all talk of anything to do with me was off limits. Fran seemed to understand and blamed her behavior towards me on some flimsy excuse that I didn't buy for a second. All was calm for a week or so, when one morning I called my mum to check in on her, only to find out that she was out with Fran running errands. When I pushed for more information, I uncovered that Fran had taken my mum to the bank so that my mum could obtain a new credit card. Fran very much knew that I had taken my mum's debit card, with my mum's blessing, because my mum was having episodes of increased confusion and wasn't aware of who or what she was spending money on, because my mum had forgotten that she had given me her previous debit card. That was the final straw for me. That night, I sent Fran the following text message. "Hi Fran. Mum told me about you guys going to the bank today to get a card, and I just wanted to let you know that I know my mum appreciates your friendship, but that I do not appreciate your getting yourself involved in things that you have no business being involved in. Mum and I have her finances under control between the two of us, and we do not need any assistance getting her squared away, no matter how well-meaning. She's asked me to take her card again, the new one, and has put me as the main account holder so that I can be sure that she has access to what she needs, but that no one else does. I want to believe that you're coming from a sincere place of just wanting to help my mum, but it complicates friendships greatly when you get into financial territory. I handle all of my mum's finances and medical stuff, and it's working for us that way. My mum very much appreciates having you as her friend, but she doesn't need a caretaker. I've got that covered. If you sincerely want to be her friend, you need to take 10 giant steps back and check yourself regarding how you're coming across to me. Because from my perspective, it very much looks like you are dancing precariously close to the elder abuse line. And I'm sure that you wouldn't want me to get the authorities involved here, but that's exactly what will happen if things continue down this path. Fran responded with some bullshit reply akin to, "Oh my word, I would never take advantage of anyone, and I just wanted to help your mum, blah blah blah. Oh, and I think that you and I have gotten off on the wrong foot, which is my fault, but I'd like to start over again. More blah blah blah." I never replied to Fran further, and she has, oh, shockingly, not really reached out to my mum since. I believe she is due to move into the apartment complex this weekend though, so we shall see if she pops back up out of the woodwork. I think she understands that I see through her attempts to come between my mum and I, and that she'll need to focus her efforts to scam people somewhere else. I notified my mum's hospice nurses and her social worker as well. I also bought a really super cool medication dispenser. I won't name it because I'm not plugging anything. that is locked and syncs up to an app so that I get notified every time it dispenses a medication. That made me feel much better about Fran not having any access whatsoever to my mum's prescriptions, but the trip to the bank showed me exactly what Fran was after. I notified the bank that if Fran is with my mum, they had to contact me immediately. All in all, I think most of you are correct. Fran was using my mum for money, or she was trying to, but luckily I caught it before much damage was done. I think I've made my position on Fran clear to her, which is why she is staying away. I think I still need to contact the independent living facility about my concerns with Fran because, I swear I'm not making this up, my mum says that Fran is going to be working at the independent living facility after she moves out, and I don't want her being in a position to take advantage of anyone else. OP then comes back 7 months later with the latest updates. So my mum is still on hospice and doing okay, all things considered. She has her good and her bad days, but she's been mostly lucid lately, and I'm grateful for that. Fran's been mostly MIA, thank goodness, ever since I told her, in no uncertain terms, to beat it. The only time I've heard from her since then was when my mum's phone wasn't working, and Fran called me and left a message wanting to know if my mum was okay. I left her on read. So that told me that my mum hasn't cut her out completely, although she tells me she has. But I have, with my mum's blessing, taken control of any avenue that Fran could possibly use to take advantage of my mother. I alerted the hospice nurses and social worker, and I had let Fran know that I had done that as well. My mum also finally made some better friends who live nearby, and they also help keep an eye on her for me. I didn't go to the police, as I didn't feel that I had a case to do so, but I did let Fran know that I wouldn't hesitate to do so if given reason. If Fran comes back around my mum, or gives me any reason to think something's up, I'll update you all to let you know. But as of now, my mum is safe, I handle all her medication as well as her finances, so no one can weasel their way in to try to take anything at all away from my mum. Thank you to everyone for your care and concern. Snoo Suggestion says, they want her pills. OP replies, I thought the same thing, which is why I locked them up tight. My mum agreed to a camera right over her dispenser so we can keep eyes on her medication at all times. The machine that I got her is pretty cool too, and alerts me via text if the machine door is ever opened. Not that it could be because it has a passcode on it that my mum doesn't even know, so there's a lot of safeguards in place to ensure that no one gets into any of her stuff at all. Peter says, people like Fran are absolutely disgusting. Anyone who tries to take advantage of an elderly individual deserves to rot in hell. No to Newspeak replies, OP needs to be on alert that this woman doesn't try to access her mum's bank account or sign any documents related to wills or power of attorney. She may be trying to weasel her way into OP's mum's will or take control of her finances. My wife has personal experience of a carer trying to exploit my wife's mother, who is 90 and in a care home. Thank goodness my wife has her mum's finances and power of attorney for medical care and such locked down tight. The number of people targeting the elderly in care homes is disgusting. Yeah, I've had a close proximity experience with something like that, where a friend of the family had his auntie targeted by the Catholic Church, in which a priest had convinced this elderly lady to sign over all of her remaining assets to the church. I don't know how they did it, and I don't know how no one else was privy to it, but it happens. And it's very much scary because then you have to go to court, and even if you go to court, you lose a lot of that money to these powerful entities. I feel like that's kind of the price we pay for people not visiting their parents enough or keeping tabs on their parents that are in elderly care facilities. And these people know that. They will absolutely take advantage. Regardless, thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. I'm glad that things went well and that you got on top of it before Fran could do any damage. You are a saint, and thank you for sharing that story once again. What do you guys think of this one? Let me know down in the comments. Let's move on to our next story. Okay, so this one was posted by a throwaway account, titled, My boyfriend, 30 male, has a close female friend, 34 female, who blatantly dislikes me, 29 female, and makes no secret of it. I've reached a stage where it's her or me. How can I confront my boyfriend? So I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years, and we share an apartment. He has a female friend, Nell, and they were friends for years before I came along. I had no issue with their closeness, I have male friends, and I knew that I'd be a hypocrite to leap to judgments. But at this point, I feel like I'm justified in thinking the way that I do about her. The first time I met her, it was extremely obvious that Nell didn't like me. She came into the bar all excited to see my boyfriend before noticing me. Her entire demeanor changed. She took my hand and dug her nails into my skin before ignoring me for the rest of the night. She even seemed upset at one point that I took the seat beside my boyfriend and quietly left halfway through the evening without saying goodbye. Love me an Irish goodbye. It's the best way to not say goodbye. So it's safe to say that my first impression of her wasn't good, but I tried to reason with myself that not everyone gets along, and I don't need to be friends with my boyfriend's friends. However, as time passed, it became really clear that Nell's attitude towards me wasn't improving. She had a way of openly mocking me in front of groups of people, making side comments, or loudly joking about my voice or appearance. My boyfriend would stand there and say nothing, and after the fact when I asked him about it, he'd say that he hadn't noticed. She'd also make a show of us hugging him hello and goodbye, and not me. She would mix that kind of stuff in with smiles and basic politeness so that it was tough to articulate exactly what she had done. I felt very much like I was back in high school. From that point on, I basically decided that I didn't need to have someone like that in my life, so I just stopped going to things that she was at. I haven't seen her in about a year. My boyfriend still regularly sees her, and they text often. I'm now at the stage where I fully believe that they've either dated in the past or have something going on now. I tried gently bringing this up, but he denies they ever dated and makes me feel like I'm being jealous and bitter by asking. I end up suppressing those feelings before something brings them up again. I've reached the end of my tether with it. The final straw for me came the other day when my boyfriend left his phone open and I saw a text exchange between the two. Nell had sent him a heart emoji and my boyfriend had written something about how he was thinking of her. Oh, hell no. What's going on with that, brother? I know I should have said something then and there, but I felt numb and decided to go to bed. I'm trying to work out how to handle this. Is it possible nothing's going on here? It's something I've tried arguing in my head, but then something else pops up that makes me doubt it. Maybe friends do just send hearts, and I'm making this up because I don't care for Nell. No, don't gaslight yourself. Please, no, don't do it, OP. I don't want that to be the case, but I'm basically at a point where I feel he either has to tell me the truth and restrict contact with Nell, or else I don't feel like I can maintain the relationship. I feel constantly disrespected, and I want something to change, but I don't know how to go about it. Any advice would be so welcomed. You need an ultimatum, OP. You need to drag his ass for this, obviously inappropriate relationship he has going on with Nell. No, it's not normal for him to send hearts to someone else while he's in a relationship. Especially when you've brought up multiple times that you don't like this girl, you don't trust her, you get bad vibes, and you've avoided being in her proximity for a year. He is failing the ignorance or malice test. This goes far beyond ignorance. This is now malice territory, and he is intentionally pitting you two against each other. That is what I believe, not the asshole. Chonkosaurus Rex says, to be honest, I don't think there's a point in giving him an ultimatum, as I don't think he would choose you. Or if he did, he would resent you for it and make you feel even more crazy. He never noticed how Nell treats you and never calls her out on it. When you point it out, he makes you feel like you're jealous and crazy instead of working with you and implementing healthy boundaries. You have to repress your feelings about their relationship because of how he makes you feel whenever you try to bring it up. That is not a partner that will choose you because he never has. He chooses Nell. Whenever Nell hurt your feelings, he chose to endorse her actions by not standing up for you. Whenever you point something out, he chose to protect Nell and make you feel like you were jealous and bitter. He has always been in her corner, endorsing and enforcing her actions, even when she is hurting your feelings. I would personally skip the ultimatum and just leave. And Connie says, anyone who lets someone mock you in public isn't your friend. Your problems are bigger than her. He will still be the person who let this happen to you. Also, you don't trust him. You think he might be hiding a past or current relationship. This also won't be solved. Trust your gut. Following that, OP comes back with an update and says, First, I'd like to sincerely thank everyone for the kind comments. I didn't expect so many responses, and I appreciate them all. I want to provide everyone with an update because a lot has happened. A few days ago, after a lot of tearful soul-searching, I decided the best thing for me would be to walk away from the relationship. I sat my boyfriend down, and I talked to him about it. I explained that I always felt like the third wheel in my own relationship, and that for my own happiness, I didn't want to be in a relationship that made me feel that way anymore. I gave examples to him that I did in my original post, such as his lack of boundaries with Nell and his disinterest in standing up for me whenever she mocked me. I also said my trust in him had been eroded to the point where I felt unsure of what I really was to him. I told him I still cared about him and wanted him to be happy, but that I wanted to be happy too. My boyfriend sat silently for a while before asking, "So, you're jealous of Nell?" I'm gonna punch you in the face. What was that? I hate you. I felt like he barely had processed anything that I just said, and when I tried clarifying, he got defensive and told me that he was allowed female friends. Oh my god, the bar is in hell. It's in hell. You can't convince me otherwise. I could tell that he wanted to turn this into an argument, and since my mind was already made up and I'd said what I wanted, I ended the conversation, and he played a computer game and acted like I wasn't there as I packed my things and left. Boy boss move. I've been staying with my best friend, who is amazing and always so supportive. We're actually looking into sharing a place officially. I burst into tears on her doorstep, and we hugged it out, before having a movie night with pizza and some wine. It felt really therapeutic, like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. My family has been amazing too, rallying around and taking me out for little meals and stuff. I even got 1 or 2 sweet messages from my boyfriend's friends, saying they were sorry and that they fully understood my point of view, which is interesting. I imagined that would be the end of it, but the next morning, I woke up to messages from a number that I didn't know. It was Nell. I honestly didn't think that she would contact me, so to see her walls and walls of text in my inbox was a shock. Let me run down some of the things she said. She repeatedly insisted that she never bullied me, and said that she had no idea where that came from. She said that I'd always seemed cold towards her, so I tried to make these little jokes to break the ice. Openly mocking someone is an interesting method, but I digress. Lastly, she told me that I was making things up by suggesting that she ever had a thing with my ex. They were just friends. She finished with a passive-aggressive apology that I'd ruined my own relationship by being jealous and listening to voices in my head. I didn't respond to her venom or try to get the last word. I know she wanted to repeat her tried-and-true method of hitting out at me and enjoying my reaction, so I didn't give her one. I've been focusing on other things to start building my self-esteem and happiness back. My ex has not tried to contact me since I left, and I'm glad. Frankly, I think him and Nell are perfect for each other. I'm well and truly done with this, and I'm so excited for new things in my life. My friend and I are making arrangements to officially have a place together, and I actually got promoted at work today. I feel like it was a little hug from the universe. All in all, things are looking bright. So to end things, I want to thank everyone again for the messages. I think hearing your opinions, as well as getting all of my thoughts out in a post, are what really opened my eyes and allowed me to leave. I finally feel as though I'm making myself the priority, and it feels pretty great. Miss Behaven says, "You did the right thing by not responding to her. It was a rather creeper move for him to give her your phone number to message in the first place. Go out and do the things that make you happy." OP replies, "Yeah, the only way she would have gotten it is through him. My best friend even suggested they probably wrote those texts together. I feel like they both just wanted to turn it into a big argument and play the victim, so I'm glad that I didn't pursue that with them. I don't care and just want to be happy. Thank you." Top Put says, "Literally the best thing you could do was let her twist in the wind after those texts, and you did it. Good for you. Those two deserve nothing from you." And OP replies, "Thank you. Yep, I imagine her reeling that she didn't get a single word in response to her mountains of text. Never replied to a stupid yapper, OP. Good for you. Those two scumbags deserve each other for the year of misery that they put you through, and I'm glad that you didn't respond. Oh my god, imagine the shit show if you did." I feel like it was almost guaranteed that he was cheating on you with her, and it's going to be so funny when he cheats on her with someone else, or she cheats on him because, that's just what happens in these situations. As always, OP, I hope that future is looking brighter for you. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And you guys, what do you think about this story and everything else before? I'd love to know your thoughts, your piece, your own stories in the comments below. Let me know. Anyway, that's where I'm going to end today's episode. Thank you for listening, as always, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!